From now on, no more Mr. Good Guy. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Horror Corner. I'm your host, Sean Patrick Erschen, and this week we are doing a film review of Child's Play 2. Sorry, Jack, Chucky's back. This one is directed by John Lafia, written by Don Mancini, of course, who created the character of Chucky and the series. And you have Alex Vincent returning to his role as Andy Barclay. Of course, you got Brad Dourif returning as the voice of Chucky, a.k.a. serial killer Charles Lee Ray, whose soul inhabited the children's doll called the Good Guy. So formerly he was serial killer Charles Lee Ray, also known as the Lakeshore Strangler. So through a voodoo spell, and I guess he was into voodoo and stuff, he cast a voodoo spell and his soul inhabited the body of the children's doll Chucky. So Child's Play 2, we see Andy Barclay at a foster home, and they're trying to find a more permanent residence for him, and they do find this young couple who takes on and adopts the child. So Andy is still going through a lot of trauma, a lot of psychological issues in dealing with Chucky in the original film, Child's Play. And yeah, so he's having a real hard time with it. And it probably wasn't the best idea for them to give the young boy a good guy doll. After all the events that happened in the original, I found that funny that they gave him a good guy doll. Are you serious? I don't know, maybe they thought if he confronted his demons head on, it might help, but I thought it was pretty dumb. But at any rate, he meets his foster sister, Kyle, who's played by Elise in the film. And she does such a great job. I think she's a wonderful addition to the franchise. And it's kind of puzzling to me that they didn't use her in any of the future movies. Because she's a real heroic, she's very charismatic. She's got that teen angst thing going on. She's kind of a little bit goth, a little bit rock and rollish. And I really enjoyed her character. She does a great job. Elise has a great performance in the film. But at any rate, the film, I think, has a lot more action than the original film. I still prefer the original Child's Play, but I think this is a very, very worthy follow-up. It's extremely enjoyable. It's probably even more entertaining than the original. It might not be quite as scary. It's chock full of awesome Chucky moments, like when he kills the guy who brought him back to life. So at the beginning of the film, you see the decrepit, decayed Chucky from when he was pretty much burnt to a crisp in the original film at the end there. And for some reason, they thought it'd be a good idea to completely rebuild him, you know? So this beginning scene takes place at the Good Guy factory. So they just ignore the events of the original film by saying, you know, oh, there was nothing wrong with the doll, the kid was just crazy. So I just wanted to let you know that there's nothing wrong with this doll. It's completely perfect. It's not the doll that did it. The kid's just crazy. He's a loony. So they rebuilt Chucky. And guess what? He's still inhabited by the soul of Charles Lee Ray. So, of course, the soul is released through electricity. And he comes back. Chucky's back, baby, in his full glory. And he first comes to life when one of the toy makers takes a ride to the store and throws the Chucky doll in the back seat. And, of course, he comes back to life. And it's hilarious when he does. He has some great lines. He just sneaks up on the guy and points a gun at him, but it's just a water pistol. He's like, bang, you're dead. And he tells the guy to park the car, and I just laugh my ass off when he does. He's like, Here, park this piece of shit. I don't know why it is, but that just cracks me up when he swears, and it's just so funny. You just gotta love Chucky. Such an awesome character, and I love the way Brad Dourif plays him. The voice of Chucky is just so recognizable, so iconic, that I just can't possibly see anybody else in that role as the voice of Chucky. It's just gotta be Brad Dourif. It has to be, because he's just amazing. And this film is chock full of awesome Chucky lines, like when he kills the teacher, Miss Kettlewell, in the closet. She ends up locking the doll in the closet just to tell the boy, look, it's just a stupid doll. She throws it in the closet, and later on, she opens the closet, and Chucky whacks her with a ruler from school. You know, those big long ass rulers. And he's like, you've been a naughty girl, Miss Kettlewell. And he's like, boom, boom, boom. Beats her with the ruler. Beats her to death. You wouldn't think that kind of ruler would actually kill somebody, but apparently, you know, you gotta suspend disbelief in these movies, of course. And then Kyle finally comes around to believing young Andy, because she sees some weird stuff. She sees the doll. She believes that the doll might be alive, you know. And then she's in the car with the doll at one point, and it's hilarious. Chucky comes back to life and tells, look at me, the playtime's over, okay? And he wants to lead her to the good guy factory. And they get pulled over by a cop, and the cop is like, is that one of those good guys? I love those things. And he's like, what's his name? And Chucky turns around, he's like, Chucky. But it looks so real, like the expression in his face. I love the effects in this film, by the way. I think they really hold up very well to this day, and I just love that classic style where it just looks like a doll, and when he turns off and becomes just a doll, it just looks like just a doll, you know. And when you see the expressions on his face and the anger, and when you look close, you can see he has like rotted out teeth, you know. And I love when you just see his eyes turn and stuff. Like, it's brilliant, like the way they do the doll and the expressions on his face. It looks so real, you know. And it's amazing. This was before they had CGI back then. This was 1990 when this movie came out, so they didn't really have CGI back then. Not much anyway. At least not in small, low-budget horror films like this. I didn't think they really came out with big-time CGI until like Jurassic Park and Terminator 2 and stuff. That was more like 92 era when they started coming out with big CGI fest movies, you know. But definitely not in the small, low-budget horror films like this. They didn't have CGI, you know. But I just think they did an awesome job with the makeup and the special effects on this movie, especially. A couple of later ones don't quite hold up as well, but I think Child's Play 2 holds up damn well. So yeah, they end up having this final showdown between Chucky and Andy and Kyle at the Good Guy doll factory. So in the factory, you see all these dolls in the boxes, and it's like this factory, all they does is create Good Guy dolls. They don't have anything else, no other toys, no other products, because the whole factory is filled with nothing but Good Guy dolls stacked up on each other. And of course they show the conveyor belt with all the Chucky dolls being made by the factory, by the power plant and everything. And you see the machines, the robots putting the arms together on the doll and the head, and the thing comes down that presses the eyeballs into the doll, you know, which becomes a really funny scene later on when you see a guy get caught on the conveyor belt and he gets the fake eyes plunged into his real eyeballs. It's hilarious. You see our human dude with fake doll eyes. It's hilarious. Another thing I always love in these movies when Chucky tries to transfer his soul by saying the voodoo spell onto young Andy, which he does several times throughout the series. And it's just funny, the voodoo spell, he says, Dari Mendara, and then he says, give me the power, I beg you. I just think it's so funny, and it's like kind of campy, but I love it. But it's such an epic third act when they show Chucky get caught like on the conveyor belt thing, and he goes into that main processing thing where they make the doll, where they complete it, and he's getting like, and it all goes haywire, it short circuits, and he he gets stuck inside, and he's like, ah, you know. And he gets like 10 different arms and legs waxed together onto him, and it becomes like this melted ass monstrosity. But then you find out, of course, that that wasn't actually him. He did end up getting away, and there is some really scary scenes at the end. It's such an excellent, thrilling final act, and it's awesome, and it takes place at the toy factory. I think it's just a cool, I love the setting of it. It's creepy. It's just awesome. And such a thrilling finale. And I really enjoyed Child's Play 3. I think it's one of the best horror sequels in any horror franchise, I would say. It's definitely one of my favorites of the series. So guys, definitely run out and buy Child's Play 2. Get it on DVD, Blu-ray, whatever you have to do. And go and rent Child's Play 2 and buy it on Blu-ray, DVD, whatever you need to do, but you have to see this movie, you have to buy it, you have to complete the collection by getting this excellent sequel. And thank you for joining me, Sean Patrick Erschen, in the Horror Corner. Tune in and stay scared.